Welcome to Prop Talk, your one-stop destination for all things multifamily. Whether you're an investor, a seasoned operator, a first-time manager, or just curious about the industry, we're here to break down complex property trends, dissect the latest market news, and provide you with valuable insights. But that's not all. We also aim to reveal the human side of the industry with candid stories, fun facts, and the untold tales that define the world of property management. Today's episode is brought to you live from NAA. Our star-studded host and Chief Experience Officer of Inhabit, Elizabeth Francisco, is joined by Lyndsay Hanes, President of Metric Property Management and President of the Austin Apartment Association. Lyndsay Hanes is a distinguished multifamily operator with over 2 decades of experience and a proven track record of results-oriented performance. She has vast experience across multiple asset types, increasing value and ensuring client satisfaction. Lyndsay has been responsible for creating processes at 2 startup management companies before becoming an entrepreneur herself, with the launch of her company, Metric Property Management. Lyndsay has a history of service to our industry. She has been an active participant on numerous local apartment association committees, serving on the board of directors for the Austin Apartment Association, co-chair of the AAA Legislative Committee, and today she is currently serving as president of AAA.
Welcome to Prop Talk. And it's well deserved. It is. I mentioned this with Stephanie because you were in our pseudo green room. We were talking about career aspirations, and from probably 2 or 3 companies back before your own. Back in the early days, I would try to sit in and help with trainings. In fact, I did some of the very first ones. Mm-hmm. And whenever we would have a break, I would always start talking to people and try to figure out what do they want to be when they grow up. Because I love talking to front lines. And I noticed this pattern about a lot of times people would only aim one level up, maybe to VP, RVP, things like that. But very rarely, if ever, did I hear mention of a C-suite, ever. Never heard, not one time, was I want to own my own property management company or I want to be a managing partner of a management company. Yeah. And so that's why I thought having you come in to talk about this, because it is courageous. There's not enough people aspiring to do that, and we need to figure out how do we help them? And I think we help them by sharing stories like yours.
Well, I didn't decide I was going to be a property manager. I kind of grew up in the business. My grandma was a property manager. I used to clean apartments when I was 12 or 13 for money for school clothes. And then, golden handcuffs, I got into it and never got out. But I started my company because I wanted to do things because they made sense, not because that's how we always did it. And so as a disruptor who's always questioning and challenging, very competitive and needing to win, that made people uncomfortable. And so I said, well, you know what?
I can't relate to that at all.
Right? I'll just start my own property management company. Yeah. I had no idea how much work it is. I cannot discount that it is a lot of work. There's a lot more to it than I ever imagined. And we've had our growing pains. But it also set me up for buying properties. For 2 years, I had no reason to think that I was going to buy properties, and somebody challenged me. I'm one of those people, you can't tell me that I can't do something, or that I'm not smart enough or successful enough, or because maybe not, but I am daring enough. I'm bold enough, and I love to prove people wrong and be underestimated. And so then I started buying properties. And now we give all of our employees an opportunity to invest in properties with us.
I love this. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Not
enough companies are doing that.
Yeah, think about our frontline, entry-level people. They don't have seed money saved for an investment. But we can partner with them and we can find creative ways to do that. And then they're so super, super loyal. They have ownership in that property.
Yes.
So that's next level metric.
But I want to ask you, as an entrepreneur, when you started your journey, I understand why you wanted to, which I completely understand. What do you think was the biggest challenge you faced in starting a business?
0 to 1 is always hard. I got really lucky. In a month into the business, a former asset manager had 2 small properties, and he was unhappy, and he gave me a chance. He knew me. So COVID was a huge obstacle for a lot of people. It was the biggest blessing I possibly could have had because I was a scrappy brand new property manager. Failure wasn't an option. I was going to figure it out. So we were super creative and resourceful and earned a reputation for quickly repositioning struggling assets.
Like being adaptable.
Failure wasn't an option. We were going to figure it out, and we did. And then it started making waves in circles of smaller multifamily and new multifamily owners, investing in them in their education. Sometimes a new multifamily owner doesn't know what a seasoned property manager does. So being super patient with them and selfless and teaching them. And then we became, trusted partners. And as they grew, we grew.
How did you start with one property?
0. I left my W-2 with no properties.
Oh my goodness. The mental challenge outside of the work challenge, but you have a family and a life. How did you cope with that? The balance.
I have 4 kids. People ask me all the time, how do you do this? I'm lucky that my 2 older kids, when we first started getting more and more properties, they both came to work for me. It's nice to be surrounded by people that are as, intense about business as you are. It was personal because it's their family business too. So that helped. I shut it off on Fridays at 6 for real, and I don't start again until Mondays at 8. And that's a learning curve. Through every stage of anybody's career in property management, you have to really start respecting and learning what the person above you does. And how your talents and strengths complement each other and where you fit in because you can't do everything. The hardest transition that I made was property manager to district manager because I was the best property manager in the world. I could just do everything. Well, then when I had 12 properties as a regional manager, I had to start trusting and training. And
that's a big leap from 12 to...
Every single position was like that. What's the person above me do? How do I recognize that, tap into it?
I think that's key, right? You have to push yourself to make bandwidth to start learning the position above you before you get there.
For sure. Yeah.
It makes all the difference in the world. Once you figure that out, because then you're also really outperforming in the job that you have. Bandwidth, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Is Metric all owner operated or do you fee manage?
We fee manage, and we started fee management, and it wasn't until this time last year that we started buying properties. So really, only 20% of our portfolio is owner managed.
So tell me about what it was like for you to solicit business, to do business development as a new management company, a new fee management company.
Yeah. One of my other senior leaders, I was so insecure. I don't know what to say. Do they like me? We're just a small company. Are they going to respect me? And I drag him along to networking events because it just made me feel more confident. Then every time I got with somebody and started talking, I was so passionate about the company and so proud of our performance. It was my heart and soul. He never even got an opportunity to talk. I took over the whole conversation. So I've grown in my business development, and I have some people on my team that know that if I'm quiet, they should jump in. I want them to be part of the process. It's better if we're all involved. It's not my pitch; it's our pitch team. And so it's gotten better. But it was really just passion. And Metric was another child to me.
Did you have any pitches that you did not win the business?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what did you learn from that?
All ships rise with the tide is one of my favorite phrases. And so I always tell people, we want what's best for you and your business. We're here to help if we can. And if not, if we can help in another way or down the road, or let's just be friends, then we do that. I had a past client reach out to me last week and ask me, tell me about that company that's helping with your ratings and reviews again. We don't work for them anymore. We're competition. We're a block away. He's still a friend. I want what's best for him. Absolutely. Let me give you a testimony. Let me give you the contact for it. So it's being selfless and about the customer more so than yourself. And it's karma. It all comes back.
Was there any specific things that you learned from those interactions? Did your pitch, your business pitch, did it change at all?
I think the core of it has always been the same. Just be selfless and give back. Be passionate about what you do. We have absolutely learned lessons, so now we have more strength in the market.
The brand credibility.
Yes. As simplistic as it sounds, what is going to get my company through this is answering the phone and calling people back. Literally, we have been order takers for years, and now we have to go back to that sales aspect of the job, the customer service aspect of the job. And so we're hiring people for attitude and aptitude over experience, like big time. I mean, not saying I won't hire somebody who's very experienced, but we love to grab people from coffee shops or tasting rooms or wait staff because they have the right attitude and they have the right aptitude, and training them our way. The old school marketing and simplistic customer service is going to be so different than what everybody else has done. Because again, I mean, we were a little guilty of it, complacent. Order takers, it was easy. We had 35% rent growth last year.
Yeah.
This year, probably be even.
But you have to know what to hire for so that you get the right team together, and you get, and then you have to make sure you have engaged employees, which is probably what I want to talk about next, because I think you and I both can agree from doing this in our own ways. When you start the company, you ask a lot of those OGs, original team that comes on board with you, those foundational building blocks that you're building on. Mm-hmm. You can't have anybody on board who says that's not my job, because everybody has 10 jobs. Yep. How are you and how have you managed through building your team and making a successful team?
Okay. So we have another phrase at Metric, only the strong survive. And that's because there's not a department for that, whatever that is, there may not be a department for that. You've got an idea, we want you to bring it to the table, we might make that part of our processes, but it really does start with hiring the right people. And so we're total nerds about psychometrics. We just really started diving into hiring the right people, understanding who we're hiring, career pathing.
All right. What are psychometrics?
All right, psychometrics. Yeah, fun stuff. And we did your personality assessment too. So we have your psychometrics. Let me tell you all about you here in a second. So
oh, no.
So 80% of Fortune 500 companies are using psychometrics for hiring, for coaching and career pathing, for terminations, for lots and lots of things.
Okay.
You're probably familiar with DISC or Myers-Briggs.
Yes.
Those are free tools, and they're great. Mine's a little different, the one that we use, is because it talks not only about like who you are, but how that lines up with the responsibilities of the job that you're in and how you feel in the job that you're in too. So it's important to keep a pulse on stress levels and job satisfaction with people. And it's hard to find
very
people.
Costly.
Yeah.
And we already can't fill the positions we have. We can't afford to lose any more.
Yeah. So biggest game-changing thing that we've done by far.
How did you roll it out?
Funny enough, the Austin Apartment Association rolled it out. The Texas Apartment Association is doing it too.
Okay.
For different reasons. Like for instance, right now we're looking at tracks for leadership for the Austin Apartment Association. We're interviewing our committee members, our active volunteers, our council VPs, and also running this personality assessment with them and saying, are you wired for that? Because this assessment tells you what your hard wiring is.
Have you done well, you probably have, because I know you, so I'm guessing your whole team has done that.
The entire team has done it.
Yes. Have you noticed any trends amongst your team about in certain positions?
We understand who we are, then we identify who we need. And we have 2 or 3 different kind of pattern types that we look for.
Yeah.
We have definitely hired outside of those pattern types. And it doesn't work. It really doesn't.
I remember.
We've placed, I placed an asset manager who's very serious, stoic, give me the data, no fluff, with a regional manager who was an absolutely wonderful cheerleader with a lot to say. We need those people. We need all kinds of people. They drove each other crazy. I thought they were going to wring each other's necks. Had we looked at the data, we probably would have had the foresight to see that it was not the best fit from the beginning. We could take the path of least resistance and have people way happier and performing better.
Yep. No, you're exactly right. Now that you say that, we had a young lady that was an amazing leasing agent, and we rolled out this platform. It was a different platform than I'm using. One of the things that came back from hers was that, and we had put her into an assistant manager role, which she was being written up for on a regular basis. Because every time she did closeout, it was ripe with errors. But guess who was the first one done every time? It drove me nuts. When we finally got to understand more about her, we've discovered that what drove her was quantity, not quality. Which is why she was such a great leasing agent, and terrible assistant manager. And it was very eye-opening about thinking about you can take someone who's got a good work ethic and put them in a job and they can do good, but will they ever be great?
Yep.
What are you finding with this?
We weren't proud of our retention at all. We had high turnover. We weren't proud of it at all.
But you weren't alone.
So we're hiring better now.
Okay.
We are setting people up for success. I have used it for tough conversations. Really understanding who somebody is before you sit down with them and have a tough conversation is important. And that's gone a lot better. When you're hiring entry-level people, you kind of know who they are.
Yeah.
We just started in March. I've spent days and days and days in intensive classes learning it, and I want to practice on you. Okay.
All right, real time. Here we go.
So I'll just show you. It's just dots, right? How do I know so much about dots? It's just 4 dots.
Okay.
It's not a personality profile. Really, it's 7 business-related traits that are things that you learn from behaviors and environment from age 8 to 12. And they might change a little bit, but you're kind of hardwired for who you are by the age of 12, believe it or not.
Actually, I can believe that because we don't ever talk about it, but there is a theory of development called Erickson's theory of development that talks about psychologically from 2 to 12 that I studied when I was in college, watching my kids grow up and all their friends. That does not surprise me. That's why kids are so impressionable. I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah. So this is who you are in your natural self. Okay. And you have a really, really interesting chart. You're less than 5% of what other people are, and
really?
We kind of have categories, and even people in the same category can still be quite different. But less than 5% of people are in this category. So we're going to measure your autonomy, your social ability, and your patience or pace, or lack thereof, hint, and conformity. So your dominant trait is for sure your autonomy. Okay. Every day you wake up needing to wanting to be in control of your own destiny. You're confident, independent, competitive, problem solving. I think most people who meet you know that. Elizabeth does not want to follow other people's instructions.
No, that doesn't sound like me.
Nor does she want to be told how to solve the problems. You are energized by setting your own goals, plotting your own course, and figuring things out yourself. Hard-headed or opinionated might sound like bad words to some people, but these are words that you wear like a badge of honor. You picked the words. So understanding these traits kind of helps me see who you are through your eyes and your filter. And your approach to every situation is, am I moving the ball forward? Do you agree with those?
Yes. And what's interesting is thinking about the words you chose, how that can reflect. So I would agree.
First and foremost, your drive. Are we moving the ball forward?
Yes.
And then we get to your second trait, which is quite a treat too, your social ability. Right. This is a measure of whether you need or want or seek social acceptance. You are somewhat high. So for your social ability, friendly, talkative, sociable, optimistic, right? But because your autonomy is so much higher than your social ability, you're consensus building. What you're doing has a purpose, and it's usually in the direction of what your goals are.
Yeah. I would agree with that too.
Yeah. Okay. And we're also going to measure your patience or your pace. And like I said, or your lack of patience or pace.
Did you go to all the employees and do a betting to pick a square?
So very, very quick and intense. You love not just multiple balls in the air, but spinning plates at the same time. Yeah. For your best work, you like freedom and flexibility to spread it around, and you like to jump from project to project. Your focus comes in microbursts of attention. You get bored easily, so you can easily move to that next plate in the air. Let's go. Also has to be mission critical for you to do your best work.
Yes.
It's like a sport. So don't bug me about projects that are due in 3 months. Let's focus for what's due tomorrow. Procrastination for sport, I do the same thing. Because you can do it, because you can handle it. And it's where you give your top work.
That's right. And what's crazy too about the microbursts, when you think again about the role that I have now with Inhabit. There's 39 companies, and I work with all of them. So there's like 39 resumes. So I look at it. So yeah, I think that's very interesting too, because I think that might be kind of reflecting some of that, or that natural trait might be why I can do that.
All the balls in the air and juggling plates. So,
Yeah.
right.
And a squirrel might be in there too somewhere.
So the next one's conformity,
Okay.
and you are a nonconformist. Your words. You are more gas pedal, less brake. You like to get things done.
I drive that way too.
Yeah.
Literally.
And getting them done is more important than getting them perfect. You have a lot going on.
Yeah.
But
It didn't used to always be that way. That's what's interesting about this, taking these like more than once, because I used to be an enemy of perfection, crippled by seeking perfection.
as an owner, I feel like it's a little bit different. You know, my husband just came to work for Metric. He is not wired for details, but he has ownership, so he's going to do it. And you're the same. If it's critical and it's going to put points on the board, you can absolutely do it perfectly. But if it's minutia, you would rather give it to someone else so you can work on projects that you dreamt up. So your 4 primary traits create a pattern called trailblazer.
Oh, how funny, because you're on the Trailblazer Cup Cup. Because you're one too.
Very visionary, and again, that's 5% of the world. So now I can kind of understand you and the world as you see it. And then I have work-related data, which we can compare. So now that we understand who you are, now who do you feel like you need to be successful at work? And sometimes people are making big swings, and they're different. So we did Taylor for fun.
Okay.
And we went over Taylor a little yesterday, so I'll be quick. But Taylor, her trait is social ability. She is different than you, though. Even though you're sociable as well, first, you're going to move the ball forward. Second, you're going to get the people on board. Taylor is going to get all the people on board. And then she wants to move the ball forward.
Oh my gosh, that is so true.
Yeah.
And she does an excellent job of that too, by the way.
Yep. And I thought it was cheating a little bit because I know you, so I could validate all the things that I was reading, but Taylor, I didn't. So this is pretty blunt. She's absolutely fun, people solver, friendly, talkative, optimistic, cheerleading, life of the party. If she doesn't know people in a room, she's gonna know them. Because her autonomy is so high, she likes to work on projects, she prefers to give instruction, confident, independent, competitive, self-starting. She plans for the future.
Yeah.
This is a great role for her.
Oh, yeah.
She's patient. She does her best work when she can be methodical and follow a checklist. She does need a checklist to keep her on track, though, right? Mm-hmm. If it's not on the calendar, she may not be there. And she is a little bit of a nonconformist and unconventional, too.
Which is a great thing to have in marketing.
Rules are suggestions, not absolutes. She can challenge things because she doesn't do all the dotting the I's and crossing the T's. She doesn't have those details, so she's completely comfortable challenging them. She might need her team to come back and go, but wait, that won't work.
Yes.
When we hit a brick wall, it's a gift for her because she can see all the other possibilities, though. She's going to think outside the box. And she may not follow guidelines. She wants to leave the minutia to other people as well. Who do we hire to support Taylor? So we know she's super sociable, and those are her strengths. She's very forward-thinking. Probably somebody who's more of a systematic, organized person who can execute, still with the mid-range of social ability so that they're not boring to her.
I'm picturing her team.
Yeah.
And it's basically compensating or the opposite of where she's weak. And she actually does have a team that I would say mirrors that. Because you don't want a team of people just like you.
No.
If I was in a room for me, it would drive us crazy.
It takes all kinds.
Definitely.
If we hire someone that doesn't dwell on the details, we have a bunch of things that don't get done.
Yeah.
She'll get them done. It's going to be painful for her. You're going to surround her with people who dabble in the details.
Yeah.
And then what if we hired somebody who was a detailed, a supervisor over her? Detailed micro thinker, no patience, low social ability, annoyed with someone with high social ability. We would crush her soul. But in property management, sometimes we just hire based off a good interview and a great resume. Maybe they even have a great reference because the last job, the person that they were under or over was a great fit, compliment. And we've hired those people before.
Yep.
Now we are more calculated about how people fit together and not just who they are.
I love that. It's a balanced approach that you have to your team. And you're right, you want a team that's compensate for each other because they grow together and they move the ball forward, which I love.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So you implemented this in March?
Uh-huh.
So I would love to have you, we need to talk again like at the end of this year. I want to see how it's progressing. So how is Austin Apartment Association? Are they rolling this out like something for their members?
We did it for
The
the
team? entire
leadership and board.
Okay.
Any committee or council member
I love
took
that.
it, and we're using it a ton. AAA uses it for their hiring as
Yes.
well. TAA is using it for kind of the same thing.
I love this.
Then we're setting charts for ideal committee chairs and council chairs and officer roles, so that we can put the right person in the right seat. They do free team assessments, so they'll do a reading for your.
Oh, really?
intake.
Okay, that's worth everything right there. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
I
thanks for
hope you guys enjoyed that and are considering using, what is it, data?
It's Culture Index.
Culture Index.
Yep, Cary at cultureindex.com.
Cary.
C-A-R-Y.
Cary, Cary at cultureindex.com. But thank you for being open and talking about your own experiences and your team. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Prop Talk, live here at Apartmentalize in Atlanta. But remember, networking and learning from great thought leaders like Lyndsay happens at places like Apartmentalize. So hopefully that will inspire you to come next year to Philadelphia. We should be doing a session on this, hint, hint, because they're going to call for presentations in 2 months. But hopefully we will see you there in person. In the meantime, be sure to like and share Prop Talk, where we digest property management one episode at a time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for
Lyndsay.
having me.